Hi and welcome to this week's Weekly Wisdom. So today we are talking about making offers. So if this is the first time you're joining one of these, then please give me a like, give me a hello and drop a comment below. Let me know that you're catching up. So these happen every week, same time, same place. If you're watching live, then please play along. If you're watching the replay, just comment and I will come back. If you've got any questions at all, just drop them in. So we've been doing a couple of lives on a similar theme. So last week we looked at the first part of my phrase, as it were, which is get seen and get signed. So last week we looked at getting seen, where we talked about lots of different ways that you can get out there, be seen by your person and start to build an audience ready to receive your offer. So at some point, if that goes well, which I'm sure it will, because you'll be showing up really confidently and you'll be being passionate about what you do, you're going to get to the point where you feel you're ready to make an offer. That means very much being clear on who it is you're going to offer to. So I'm going to unpick a few different points today. Now, it's really easy to go off into so much detail on this because the culmination of everything that you should be doing around your foundational understanding all comes together when you talk about making an offer. So I had to decide really carefully which bits I wasn't going to go into depth with and which bits I was, because I've got maybe 20 minutes with you to talk you through as much of this stuff as I possibly can. So I've kept some notes to the side, so if I look over there, that's why. Just so that I can be sure that we're following that route. Okay, so I want to start with a bit of an analogy, and it came to me as I sat here getting ready to press the button and looking behind me. I have painted that wall behind me in the last couple of weeks so that I could rotate my office round to a different perspective. And I want to draw an analogy between decorating and making an offer. So let's say that you are ready to change a room or change a wall, and you want to totally change the colour. If you get the paint, if the first thing you do is get the paint out and start popping it on there, you're not necessarily always going to get the best finish. The reason being that you have not done the prep work. So imagine that your offer is the paint. It is that actually in the process of changing that room or changing that wall or engaging with that client, it is the final step. All the other stuff is going to make a massive difference to the finished effect. Now, I had it fairly easy with that wall behind me because I just had to pop a couple of things off the wall that were stuck on, tiny bit of sanding, and it was done because it's a pretty clear wall already, not plastered fairly recently. So I didn't need to do lots, but if your wall had bits of old wallpaper on it, bits of plaster that were coming away, and it just already looked a bit of a mess without the paint on, if you're just going to paint over that, you're going to see it. It's going to show through. So when you're looking at creating your perfect offer, and the offer, most importantly, that people are interested in buying, you could think that you're crafting the most perfect offer in the world, but if it doesn't resonate with your audience, if it doesn't resonate with the person that you want to serve, it stops being a perfect offer. There is no real true perfect. You can work on it forever. You can do all sorts of market research and study and refine it and. So I do implore you to start taking action to get it out there, because then that's when it starts to become a better offer. But that said, there are certain things that we can do to get ourselves in the best possible position. So again, thinking about that wall, we can give it a scrape, we can sand it, we can fully prep it, we can fill any holes in, we can get it as smooth as we possibly can. And then we trust that we've done as good a job as possible. Then we put the paint on and make the offer. So we're going to go through a few different stages to take you to the point where you feel absolutely that you've done as much as you can do, and then you're going to get out there and start testing your offer. So if you have any questions about any of this, then please drop them in. As I say, if you want to explore any of this any further around how to do this within your business, then again, please just drop me a message, let me know, and I'd love to connect with you on this. I just want to position how this fits with marketing generally, because when we talk about marketing and getting yourself out there, getting seen and then getting signed, I always like to bring the holistic picture. I'm one of these people that I don't like to see this little part. I've never been a fan of delegating anything just on a task basis. I always want it to be in context of a wider piece. And for me, marketing is the culmination of so many different aspects that, yes, I could just talk to you solely about particular strategies or using a particular social media channel. But if the other piece behind the scenes around you've not got your offer sorted, you're not clear on who you're serving, if that all isn't in place, the piece around your marketing is not going to work either. So it became very clear to me, the more I worked with clients, that if we didn't do that whole foundational, who's your person, what are you helping them with, what does your offer look like, that when it came to the marketing and the presenting of what it is you do, it all sort of didn't hang together. So hence why I talk about that very much holistic. Who's your person? Let's be clear on how you help them. And now let's progress that into how do we get out there. Okay, so that said, let's get into what those different elements are. The first and the most fundamental element of getting your offer right, or as right as you can get it, for the perfect person for you to work with, is deciding on who that perfect person is. Isn't that like really obvious? It might seem obvious, but honestly, I can't reiterate this enough. And it's the piece that sometimes gets skipped over, or you think you've got your ideal client in your mind, but actually it's not a single person. Hey, Tamara. Knowing who your person is to the point where if we took you into a room where there might be your person in there, you'd be able to pick them out. You'd be able to pick them out based on how they're behaving, what they're talking about, what they might say their challenge is in life. You would know exactly who that person is. And there's a client that I'm working with at the moment who is at that stage of really dialing it in and really starting to understand who she is. And it's really interesting that she is starting to have that person approach her. So it's almost as though that she's literally manifesting that person into being, and she's meeting people at networking events, and she's getting into conversations with connections of connections that are turning out to be her perfect person. But of course you can't do that if you're saying, well, it's this huge, great, big, broad spectrum of a person. Now, there's some stuff always comes up. Always. Whenever I talk to people about, well, who's your person? We have resistance, don't we? We don't want to be excluding others. So I want you to trust that by being exclusive, you are actually being much more inclusive. I had to really think about that, getting that the right way around. By being specific about the person that you want to serve allows you to serve that person better. If you try and serve all of the spectrum of people that you could potentially help, I'm not denying you can't, but you just won't be able to serve them to that same depth. You'll be able to make some level of impact, but will it be deep enough? Will it be deep enough for you? And will it be deep enough for them? Potentially not. So actually being able to really truly understand and allowing them to be that unique person, allowing them in your mind to have a personality. Now, I did an exercise over the weekend. I do this for myself repeatedly. And I actually used ChatGPT to have a little bit of a play with what actually would it give me. And I got very specific about the prompts because, of course, you only get out as good a output as the instructions that you put in. And I started to have this kind of conversation with ChatGPT about my person and what they're feeling at the moment, where they are in their life, how it's impacting them. And it was phenomenal what came out. And I've been doing this exercise now. I've had my business for more than 5 years, and this would have been one of the first things that I started to do with the first coach that I worked on. And I've done it every time somebody new's come into my business. I did it when I took on an ads agency. I did it when I brought on a VA. I refreshed my ideal client and explained it to them. I've done it with every coaching experience that I've been part of. So I've lost count of how many times I've done it. But yet I was still able to see things at a different perspective. So Don't sit in that place of, oh yeah, but I really don't know. If you haven't got a coach to work with to challenge you on some of the elements that you can bring out, try some AI. Try asking the question about, well, this is my person, so how might they be experiencing things? And it's just, it fascinates me, but it was really valuable, the kind of thought process that it allowed me to then get to just by asking some prompts. So the place you're looking to get to with your ideal client, coming back to the offer journey, is that you're looking to really understand what their desires are, because that is element number 2. You have to really tap into, and this is what I see so often, just a few degrees off, and this is why offers don't land very well. We have to talk to the desire. What is the outcome that your person is looking to achieve? And here's where you tend to get a little bit in your own head, and I'm guilty of the same thing. You have become what is perceived as an expert. You are an authority in your subject. You know all this stuff. You've been through the process. I love to describe it as an analogy of your ideal client's on one side of like a canyon. You're on the other side, and between the two of you is this rope bridge. You've crossed the rope bridge. Now, I'm not saying you've totally, like, you're skipping over. It might not have been a pretty crossing, but you've got yourself to the point where you have, on a level, the results that your person desires. 9 times out of 10, you have experienced this, certainly on some level. So if you're standing on your side and you're going, oh, it's amazing, come on over, it's really good, these results are really brilliant, your person's still really fearful, and they can't get the motivation to cross the rope bridge on their own. So when we talk to our person, we really should go back to where they are right now. And that allows us to have a bit of an arm around them, give them that encouragement, to be next to them and see things through the non-transformation, that they haven't crossed over, they haven't seen what it's like. And it's always based on the desire, always based on the outcome that they're looking to achieve. All too often, I see the features listed. So what when I say to someone, what's your offer? Immediately, most people will say, well, there's a module on this and there's a module on that, and then there's some worksheets, and then you have access to this, and then blah, 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 blah. It's all the detail, the work, the features, not the benefits. So getting used to being able to describe what those benefits are. So how's it going to feel? What does it look like over on your side of the canyon? So allowing that to be the driver, the desires. And that comes to the third part, which is very much that psychology piece. And without going into huge psychological processes and detail, what I want you to understand is that we will make the majority of decisions based on that desire, based on the want, not the need. So unless you're selling food or maybe some essential clothing, you're not appealing, or you're not in the market to selling to what someone needs in their life. Our needs are 9 times out of 10 taken care of. Whereas when someone is going through a process of improving themselves or changing something in their life, they're buying based on what they want. So let's think about the analogy again. I love to use this designer handbag. If there wasn't a psychological element into purchases, no designer handbag would ever be sold. They just wouldn't, because we would use a carrier bag, we'd use something that did the job, and that would fulfill the requirement. Done. But actually, that bag creates all sorts of emotions. We want to think about how it might feel to have the bag on our arm, and how's it going to feel like we're going to, oh yeah, and it's going to be really exciting to own a bag like that. The leather's going to have that feel, that smell to it, or it's going to represent something to you that says that you've achieved a certain thing. Maybe you've bought it as a celebration. But that's all based on that deep-seated desire point. So when you're talking about your offer, you're talking about the modules and the number of worksheets, or how many videos there might be, or how many sessions there might be, that doesn't appeal to who you want to get on board, which is the subconscious. So when we talk to the subconscious, we have to make that connection into the desire. And then the final piece is really around the objections. Now, objections are there, and for everybody, there is a level of objection. The majority of time, my clients will say to me, oh, people are always telling me it's money. And that kind of is the outward, not the easy, but it's often what people will say. Oh, I don't have the money to invest right now, or it's not something that's a priority to me. So there are going to be objections. And the key piece around your offer and managing your offer, getting it as good as you can get it, is understanding way earlier what those objections are likely to be. And once you understand what they're likely to be, you can start to tackle them one at a time in a really gentle but encouraging way. So you talk about the additional benefits that maybe outweigh what that initial objection might be. A big objection which people don't often admit to is that fear of failure. So we won't start something that we feel we may not be able to achieve or get the result. So by being able to inspire someone to say, someone just like you got that result. Now, the people that have got the edge on this is always the weight loss coaches, because they can use those amazing photos where they show the person with, their summer dress on, and it doesn't look like they're comfortable in it, and then they show the same dress and the person looks amazing, feels confident, they've got this amazing smile on their face, and they've lost whatever the promise was they'd lose. So that you can see from a real person's perspective, oh, I can connect to that because I've got one of those dresses, and actually I prefer that it would look like the after photo, not the before photo. When you don't have that visual prompt to show somebody, it still can be done through describing. So I have a client who's this. When we first connected, she felt this, and now we've worked together, she now feels like this, and this is the result that she's getting. So by being able to show the result rather than just tell, I could say, you can work with me and we'll build you a visibility strategy that you feel so excited about, you can't wait to get out there and share your message. By doing so, you will attract clients consistently to you. I could tell you that all day long. But isn't it so much more powerful for me to be able to say, by working with me one-to-one, you could get a result like Camilla did, where she opened up her group program for the first time ever. She sold all the spots in that. Plus, for the people that didn't want to go into the group, she also took on one-to-one clients. So she sold out her business for at least 6 months, even getting close to a year. That feels so much different, doesn't it? To actually see those results and hear how somebody else has managed to apply it and get the result that you're looking for as well. So let's just loop back and really quickly summarise, because I've given you a huge amount to download. And as I said, this is a piece for me that brings together so many different elements, and each one of them can be worked and refined, and they need to come together as best you can to wrap it all up in a beautiful package to then share it with the world as part of your marketing. Okay, so we first talked about knowing your person. If you don't know your person and the desires that they're working towards, you're going to be scattering. You're going to be hoping and spraying and praying, as they say. We don't want that type of making an offer. We want to be able to be very specific. This solution is for this person because it works for that particular person. So getting really clear and making it clear in your messaging, this is for this particular person. When you know your person, your offer should talk to their desires. Don't tell them about the work until it's way further down the line. They don't necessarily need to understand there is this number of modules. They're not interested in that. They're interested in the result that they can achieve. We then get into that sales psychology piece where it's not the conscious that's deciding, it's the subconscious. So let's be inspirational. Let's show them results. Let's manage some objections while we're doing that and allow them to see themselves getting those results and be inspired by some success stories. If you haven't got a whole host of testimonials yet, just use yourself. Use yourself in those little moments of realizations that you're having and how your life looks and feels different than it used to. So 4 elements. When you bring them all together, think about your offer as being your storefront. How do you show that? How do you make it look as attractive as you can possibly make it? until that person's come in and they're working with you. They don't need to know all the background. They don't need to know that you're using this particular system for the log on. They don't care whether or not they get an app. None of that kind of detail bit matters until they're in and you're going through that process. So be in your person's shoes while you go through that. So as I said before, if you feel like you've got any of those elements that you're just not sure on, you're not sure how to really get to grips with any one of those, then I can help you. I can help you to bring that together as part of your visibility strategy. Making offers should be a core element within the activity that you undertake in your marketing. If you're not telling people how they can buy from you, how they can work with you, then sharing your message and doing lots of content is great for your nurturing, but you're going to want to get to the point where you're making offers. And if you're avoiding it, is it because you don't quite have that clarity for yourself? Again, I can help you by looking at what you're doing now, making some often really small tweaks. Sometimes it's simply the language and being able to really focus it. So I want to give you an opportunity to have a brand voice session with me. So I know I release these each month and there's a certain number of slots. I do still have some available this month. And a brand voice session is where we really look at your messaging. It covers lots of these elements we've talked about today. Who's your person? What are you helping them achieve? And how are you helping them do that? So that we come up with a packaged single headline statement, which is very specific to you and your business. But it allows you to then go out, share your message, get seen, and then when you're bringing it into the offers position, get signed in that process as well. So you can find a link, or when we're finished, I'll drop the link into the top of here where you can book into a brand voice session. They are totally free. They're absolutely not sales calls. If you want to talk about working with me, absolutely, drop me a message. We can arrange to do that. But the brand voice sessions are to enable you to start making some progress, to start getting some momentum so that you're feeling that confidence. And then if you want to continue to work with me, absolutely, we can talk about that, but we're building on that confidence already. Go and have an amazing rest of your Wednesday. If you're in the UK, I hope you're not getting too wet because it's suddenly gone extremely wet and horrible this afternoon. And I will see you same time, same place next week. I'll see you soon. Bye.